Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Generation X proudly brings to you its tag team champions of the world, the Road Dogg Jesse James, the badass Billy Gunn, the new age outlaws.
What's going on, man? How you
You're
doing,
not
man?
gonna finish that? You're not even gonna finish that.
It's early on Sunday morning. We can't start that. You know what I'm saying? Because then, we might get banned by, I don't know, trying to keep it PG for a little bit. We
Oh man,
might need to have Disney in our back pocket.
man, I come down court, I give you the no look lob, and you say, you know what? I'm just gonna lay this in.
No.
Welcome to the Sunday Rise, ladies and gentlemen.
And if we're not done with that,
this me is the big guy KG sitting there with the Midnight Rider. Man, as you can see, we've started the shenanigans. We have missed everyone. Hey, what's going on, Ross? Hope you're feeling better today, man. Glad to have you here. You said you was gonna be here, and the brother is here. Let's go.
You on time, baby.
We had a week layoff. Last time we came to you it was Sunday of last week. We took off for Tuesday so everybody can enjoy their cookout and their time off. Thursday was just a hectic day, and last night was a travel night. We had things to do, but we got something special coming up for you in the coming weeks. But I will say this: it's good to be back. So first and foremost, how you feeling this morning, Midnight Rider?
I'm good, man. I'm doing good. I like this today, man.
Well, that's good. That's good. It feels good outside. It's supposed to rain and thunderstorm until about 11 o'clock at night. So I'm like, let's get it. But I had to get a change of scenery today. I get to sit on my balcony and enjoy this warm weather. So I'll be on and off camera. First and foremost, before we jump into the topics, let me say this. While I got everybody here, and it's the beginning of the show, that way you can't tune out. If you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, Twitch, all the streaming platforms so you don't miss an episode. Of course, you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio. We on all the major platforms, and some of the little ones too. I think it's 25 platforms to be exact. So we are there. And Ross, I'm glad you're feeling better, man. Strap in, because this is gonna be a good one. This is about to be a good one. First up, the NBA announced they've been talking about it for some time. They announced their play-in tournament. Midnight Rider, I know we talked about it a tad bit last night, and I was like, yeah, it's content, so I'm not gonna say much. But this has to be the most asinine, dumbest thing I've ever heard, to have an in-season tournament in the middle, and not even in the middle of the season, at the beginning of the season. We're talking November. What's the point?
KG, you killing me. You killing me, man. You of all people, I think, would get this. The NBA they're pulling an NFL move on us. So what they're trying to do is make you care about something you don't care about, you don't want to care about. Think about what every NBA fan says. Oh, I'll start tuning in after Christmas, because that's when they start playing basketball. That's when the games get real. So the NBA decided, hey, I'm going to do this. We're going to put something on the line in these early games. So maybe teams come out the gate a little bit stronger. They play a little bit better in the beginning. We give a better product in the beginning. The next thing they did, they said, oh, we got this TV issue where, TNT and a couple of places are complaining about the games they get. Now we make the games mean a little something. So are you more or less likely to start a guy or sit a guy on a Tuesday when it counts towards this play-in tournament, as opposed to sitting them on a random Tuesday in November? The NBA is being very smart and tactful here. It's not going to make sense to us old guys, but it makes sense because they put something on the line for these Tuesday and Friday games that are somehow, I don't know how they're generating the schedule, but they already have the brackets, have the pool set up. And that's that article I sent to you off of NBA.com. Each pool, I think it's like 5 teams per pool. And then there's 3 wild cards that come out, and that begins your quarterfinal setup. And then it breaks down to the final 4. I think this is smart. I think this is another way to keep people engaged in the NBA. Give you another thing to pay attention to, and you do it without changing the structure of your season. I think the part for me that was difficult was trying to figure out how are they going to do this? Like, were they going to put their schedule on pause and then come back later on and restart the season? Well, this basically takes place with the games on the docket, and they just finagle it or move it around so that way all this gets taken care of in the background. It happens, and what you're going to start seeing is you're going to start seeing a double banner on the headlines when these games come up on TNT. You're going to see tonight's regular season game, Charlotte versus Washington. And then beneath that, you'll see play-in tournament implications or play-in tournament standings. And that's how they're going to do this. They're going to have this acting out underneath your nose the whole time the season's going on. And it's up to you how much you're going to participate in it. I think it's going to actually work out better for them in the long run. I just think we have to see it happen first before we get too caught up in bashing it, if you catch my drift. But I think the NBA is doing something smart here.
I get what you're saying, and I'm one of those people, like, I'll tune into the NBA, after Christmas. Because, everything heats up around Christmas. That's when the NBA really kicks off. Because it's hard to find NBA games. And I remember the NBA didn't start until November 1st. Either depending on what the first weekend in November was, that's when the NBA started. November 1st, October 31st, something like that. Now the NBA starts regular season like on the 17th of October. And it's crazy to think that that's your motivation for an in-season tournament. And I don't know if it's a play-in tournament. I don't know if we're calling it the right thing. It's an in-season tournament. I don't know if it's a play-in, but
it's the in-season. That's the correct name, in-season tournament.
Okay, so let me change that banner so we got that right. But here's my thing. What's the point of having – now, the WNBA does this. And for those that are proponents of not loving the WNBA or not liking it because the pace is this, the pace is that, they do the same thing. They play for the Commissioner's Cup and all of that in season. But the thing is, nobody knows. Oh my God, nobody knows than me, but it gets the people going. But you can say all of that, and nobody's still going to turn in, because here's the thing. If I'm a season ticket holder, now this tournament can get down to the nitty gritty and it can really get going. And then what if, for lack of a better term, this thing goes down and here we are at the beginning of January and it's the end of the tournament. You're supposed to have Washington versus the Knicks in DC, but the Lakers won their side, Washington won their side, and now you got to have them two play. So as a season ticket holder, I'm losing out on the game. I don't like. That's what I'm thinking about.
So you're thinking about. So they're not even going that far. They're just trying to get you to the beginning of December. This tournament, I think, is supposed to end like December 7th or December 8th. Is what I was under impression. And the way they're building out the schedule is they're basically going to have a situation where they can flex certain games, so that way I guess they can keep the matchups based on what this tournament is. So they're going to do some juggling. It's going to be a little unconventional, but I'm telling you, it's the right thing for the NBA to do, because they got to do something a little bit different. Because, I mean, you got to think about guys like us are older. We're not – this isn't – again, not to say a lot of things, but this isn't for us. This is not our tournament. This isn't our NBA. This is the new generations, and they're going to try to give them something else to keep them engaged and wanting to see games early on. And it's also going to give them something else to marquee or build out to their TV markets. Now you got, with TNT and all these teams coming up on deals and contracts running out, Now you got to give them another platform, another thing to go on to. And the season starts on October 17th because you got all these extra breaks built in around the Christmas time and the All-Star game. So you gotta spread the schedule out to make it work. So I think it's going to work out fine. I think, again, us, the three sitting here on this panel, and the millions at home watching that are diehards of the show, we may not like it, but there's a generation that's going to love this product.
Question for you, because I'm not all the way up to speed on this. Is this tournament going to be played at the home arenas of the NBA teams, or are they going to one central location?
So no, this is, like I was telling KG earlier, this is all built in to your regular season schedule. This isn't something new or anything like that. Because they haven't released the schedule yet. So what they're going to do is build the dates for the play-in. They're going to schedule your regular season games around that, is what I'm understanding. And if anybody has better information or more information, we're an open book on this platform. So please give us or help us out, because we're all learning this on the fly, just like you guys are. And what I have so far is that they're building that into the schedule. So that's how that's going to work. So you're going to see these games on a Tuesday night, like I was telling KG. It'll be Washington versus the Hornets, but that'll also have in-season tournament implications.
And I think that's for me. And look, if you're failing at something, if you're losing ratings, if your team goes to the playoffs every year and can't get past the second round, it's mind-boggling that you come out and keep doing the same thing. At a certain point, you got to tweak and change things, even if you I don't want to say alienate a demographic, because, you know, the old man pumping the fist to the clouds get a glimpse of it and might actually be like, this might be interesting. But I know the logistics probably can't work, but I think the NBA dropped the ball here where they could have maybe set aside, I don't know, a week or two for this in the beginning of December. And I know the All-Star game would be in February, a couple of months away, but have a summer league type tournament.
Hey, BJ, repeat that, because your phone was going in and out a little bit.
My apologies. What did you last hear me at?
Just go into like how we might get into this.
Okay. What I was saying was, I think they dropped the ball here where, you know, and I know it's a lot of travel and logistics, but we're talking about the NBA. They have the money of maybe doing this, you know, because this is all 30 teams implicated, having a summer league style tournament, a bubble style tournament where you have everybody in one location and you have multiple games going at one time, where you could tune in to TBS and watch a game, TNT and watch a game, ESPN and watch a game, ABC and watch a game. You put one on True TV, kind of like an NCAA tournament style tournament, and you just like flood the airwaves with NBA. It's on Westwood One, it's on CBS Radio, and you get it really hyped up and you push it. And, you know, I think that would have been something, you know, I get, you know, like I said, the logistics you got to work to. You got to find a location. I think that would have been cool. You have it in Miami one year. You have it in DC one year. You have it in New York another year. You keep rotating. Everybody gets a shot. Everybody, it's in Milwaukee one year. You know, of course, LA. You know, you go to Phoenix and do it. But you know, you know, I guess this is, you know, the jury's still out on this, on how it can work. The other thing is, it's like, I get it, you know, mid-season, the beginning of the season, different teams are hot, but it's like the argument we was talking about, I mean, are these going to be the same top 10 teams that actually, you know, at the end of the day are, you know, champions of this thing? Are the Washington Wizards, are the Atlanta Hawks of the world, you know, the Charlotte Hornets, are they even relevant in this? But besides playing and taking L's, you know, they still can't beat the Lakers. They still can't beat the Heat. So I think that's still another issue for the NBA.
I think the one and doneness of this tournament is what they're going to bank on. Because any given night, any given Sunday, you can win it. And I think that's the difference of it all. Also, BJ, everything you said before that, we gotta get some content around that because you just gave the NBA the idea for the expansion of this tournament going forward. I think right now this is like the Atari 2600 version of what the in-season tournaments want to be, and it's going to actually grow. You already gave them the roadmap to the PlayStation 5 version of this. So I hope we hold this content and we can kind of get some publishing rights or something because we don't want the NBA stealing our idea and making money off of it, and we be left in the dark.
And see, that's another problem. What you just said, that's another issue. You're saying that they're banking on the one and done. What if a team like LA, an older team, like, hey, all right, well, you know, we don't have to be, we don't want the media attention. We don't want the rest of this. We're going to lose, so we're out of this, and we can concentrate on the rest of the season. You're going to have that mentality. The top teams don't care about this. If you're starting the season to win a NBA championship, not an in-season playing game. Wizards fans care about this. Knicks fans would care about this. The top 10 teams don't care about this at all. This is not something they're looking forward to. This is something that, and that's something you have to worry about too. You have to worry about if it does progress to a weak style tournament, you have to worry about players mailing in their Bradley Beal card and be like, oh, I don't feel well. My knee hurts, and I'm going to sit this one out. I'll be back in 2 weeks. You know, that's something else you're going to have to worry about down the line if it progresses to that.
Well, I think that's why they're banking. That's why they're playing it like they're not doing anything special, so that way you don't have that feeling. They're just banking everything on the fact that this is part of the normal part of the season, and you're just playing like you're playing any other time. This is not like I think we're thinking at times that this is something in addition. It's not in addition to the season. It's a part of the season. So your Tuesday night in Toronto is your Tuesday in Toronto, but it also, again, carries over to the in-season tournament.
Here's the question. What's the end game? What's the end result of the tournament? Like, you get a participation trophy. You get to have orange slices and juice boxes. Like, what's the end goal? What's the
Well, last night they unveiled the actual. They called it. I think it's called the in-season tournament cup or something like that. It's a beautiful trophy. They had Trae Young. I think Wembanyama was there. They had a couple guys that were, I guess, at the Summer League help unveil the trophy. And it's a beautiful trophy. The end game becomes whatever we determine, I think. Like we're on the beginning of this and we don't know what we're questioning the end game, but these players and these teams may take it, and if they can incentivize themselves with this, it can take off. It's just like the extra wild card game in the NFL. We think now, some of us would think, oh, let's, make it so anybody can get the playoffs. Well, it gives you another game, creates extra revenue, so on and so forth. Well, when they get to Vegas, because they do have a Vegas portion of this for the semifinals and the finals, that's another way for them to help monetize this in a way and give you a different product. So they're trying to just think outside the box. I don't know if this is going to stick, but for them to start and having like maybe a 2-year sample size and see what the results are, nothing's lost, nothing's harmed in the process.
Now, number one, I don't agree with this. I didn't agree with it when it was first talked about, because I love my traditional NBA. However, after the backlash that teams got, what the Lakers got for the bubble during COVID, I'm surprised you want to do any type of tournament that involves a neutral site, because obviously, those wins don't count because, it wasn't real. But now you got this. I'm seeing those same people on the bandwagon about this play-in tournament and say, oh, this is what we should do. This is great. This is great for basketball. But when we had nothing and we were going through a pandemic and the NBA said, all right, we're going to put everybody in one central spot and we're going to continue to play the rest of our season. And this is going to be the playoffs and determine the champion. Oh, that's a Mickey Mouse ring. That's a resort ring. That don't count.
I think you're
So-
just. I think you're putting two arguments in cross and in the crosshairs on this one, and we just gotta think of it as something they're trying something new, and just give it a shot, man. I mean, I think they go in knowing that this can either work or it falls flat in his face. But you also gotta remember, like the three of us consume the NBA way different than our kids, and our kids' kids are going to consume the NBA. So they're going to be on Twitch. They're going to be on these different platforms, watching this and streaming this in a way. And we don't know what that first Tuesday of the so-called in-season tournament, the one of the games that the early part of the season, what's that going to look like? Like we don't know what it looks like, and I think that's the part of it that's going to be entertaining to me is that maybe we end up with a situation where BJ's talking where on NBA TV. They come up with the big box, the 4-box or the 5-box, whatever it is, and you start seeing games that way. They do some kind of red zone version of it. You never know what the next part of this is because we haven't gotten to game one. Like we just got the release a couple days ago. So my thing is I'm against it. I don't like it, but I understand what they're doing. Like I see the end game for now.
All right. Well, let's jump on the other NBA news because I'm not going to sit around here talking about nothing with you guys in this damn tournament and the Commissioner's Cup and all of that. NBA news. I said something last night. Bobo got waived by the Magic. And what's crazy, this dude's a monster. And I made a statement. The Midnight Rider did not agree. The boss BJ abstained from the vote. But I say Washington should go after him. Because the dude he's talented. He's been talented since he was in 7th grade. Son of Manute Bol, former Bullet.
Hold on, go back and say that again, KG. You had some sound issues.
Okay. I said Bobo waived by the Magic. I said that the Wizards should sign him. The Midnight Rider disagreed. The boss BJ abstained. It's not a legacy thing, but I think the Wizards need a talented big, and that's the big that they need. And I think this is the place for him to really spread his wings. So that's the first thing in NBA news. Fellas, we can do this rapid fire. Do you think Bobo has a home here in DC instead of going to Phoenix and not even starting?
Well, the only reason I disagreed is because I think Washington has issues in terms of where they have room to add people on this roster. They're kind of maxed out from a roster standpoint. Unless they make a move, I don't think they can even make a move for Bobo. So that's part of the reason why I disagreed or I wasn't in agreement with him coming here. I do think he's a talent. If he goes to Phoenix, I mean, he's in the perfect. He hasn't shown me or hasn't shown the ability to be healthy or stay healthy. You get a glimpse of him here, and then you don't see him for weeks at a time. So I think that's part of his thing is he has to show that he can be viable for 82 games or 67 games, whatever the standard is in the NBA now for a guy to play a whole season. So he has to show that ability first. And I don't think it's here. I don't even think he's going to go to Phoenix. I think he's going to end up somewhere else. That where, I don't know.
Boss? Uh-oh. He dropped off. Ross said the same thing. He said the same thing. Now, see, I didn't know he had injury problems. I watched him. But, I look at the stat line and I see him playing. And, some nights he'll give you 10 and 10. He'll have a night where he'll give you 27 and 15. The dude he's talented. But I'm just like, but no, it's like Denver didn't use him correctly. The Magic kind of sort of used it correctly at the start, but then they didn't use them correctly.
But is that a usage thing or is that a him thing? Because you just said it. He gives you 27 one night, and then the next night you don't think he exists. He may have played 82 games last year, but I felt like I only saw 42 because that's when he only decided to show up.
But here's the thing. You got players. MJ didn't bring it every night. LeBron doesn't bring it every night. It's not a physicality thing. It's not that they're not willing themselves. Tonight is just not your night. And he's still trying to come into his own. Once he comes into his own and he hits his stride, you'll get those 20 and 20 nights. You'll get those 25 and 10 nights. You know, that everybody talks about Wemby, whatever the fuck his name is. I think the cat's gonna be a bust. Because everybody said, well, y'all going off of one summer league game. No, I said he was gonna be a bust before that because I was watching him play and I was watching him get dogged. They show his highlights, but I was watching him get dogged in the lowlights. But the thing with Bo, the dude can handle the rock. He can finish. He can put you on the block and score. You know, it's so many facets to his game, and this has to be a nurture over nature thing. You have to nurture talent, and everybody wants add water, mix, boom, superstar. No, you have to nurture. It's the same thing in the NFL. You have to nurture guys, no matter what sport you play. You have to nurture. If you don't nurture this kid, he's just gonna be a journeyman. Do you remember Josh Smith?
Yeah.
Used to play in Atlanta.
Right.
When he left Atlanta, I think he went to where did he go? I can't remember where he went.
I think
but within like
I think it was with the Clippers.
A year or two, he was gone out the league. And he was playing overseas.
Well, let's talk about Bo, right? So I pulled up his stats.
Okay.
So year one in Denver, he played 7 games, averaged 5.7 points, 2.7 boards. Year 2, he played 32 games, averaged 2.2 points, 0.8 rebounds. Year 3, 14 games, 2.4 points, 1.4 rebounds. Last year, his watermark year, he played in 70 ball games, averaged 9.1 points, 5.8 rebounds. Your man said it. Used to always say it the best, man. One thing that always gets coaches fired is potential, and he has potential, and he also has the potential to get whatever coach that is fired from his job, because he's only giving you one season of playing 70 games. Yes, it's year 4, but still, he's only played one season so far where he gave you 70 games, and I don't know if teams are ready to invest in that, or also, this league is about upside and potential. So maybe they think he's past his window and he is what he is.
Well, how about this?
I don't know what teams are thinking, but that could be the possibility for him.
How about this? What in the blue hell does the Wizards got to lose by signing him? You can give him a 2-year deal with a player option. What you got to lose by signing him? It's your rebuild. You got to kick the tires. You need to bring in any kind of talent you can into the city. Yes, you got Kuz. Yes, you got Poole. But you need to bring in some kind of talent and try to find some sort of chemistry to really work with these guys and say, okay, we got to see if we can put something together. Just something. Damn, I know this is probably going to be a tank season, but damn, do something. You got to kick the tires on some guys with some talent, and they got to be young guys. You can't. One thing that Washington has done, and when I say Washington, I mean as far as football, hockey, baseball, basketball. They bring in guys that are past their prime, trying to reclaim old glory. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And then when it does work, they give up too easy instead of saying, okay, let's try to build around this and do it. I.e., when the Bullets brung in, you had Jeff Malone, Moses Malone, and Bernard King. You made the goddamn playoffs and you let them guys walk. You underbid for Moses and let him walk? How, Sway? You traded Jeff Malone. You let Bernard King walk and go back to the Knicks. How, Sway?
They were old. That wasn't that. What are you building? Are you building a senior citizen home?
Jeff Malone wasn't old,
right? But Bernard King and Moses. I mean, they were definitely on the back nine.
Hold on. Moses wasn't on the back nine until like '94. Moses was still putting up 20 a game.
Again, let's. I'm gonna go back to Bobo and this team. I'm gonna go back to this team because the only reason I'm doing that is because I don't want to mix facts and history and misrepresent the ends of those guys' careers. But again, I think the reason the Wizards may not be involved in this signing of Bobo is because from a simple roster structure, they're already at like 15 or 16 guys. So I don't know if they have. Again, I don't know if they have the room. And again, this gets into the minutia of like two-way contracts, and things of that nature. That's what I'm thinking about. So that's why I don't think he's here. Is because I don't know if they have the room to fit him in here based on the way the team is structured. Not because I don't think he's worth the risk. And Ross is just saying that right there. He's 23, had his best year last season, worth taking a risk. I don't disagree with any of that, fellas. I'm not saying he's not a prospect. I just don't know how that fits in here in terms of being able to find a roster spot for him. Nothing else. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Boss BJ's back, and Ross says he's 23, best year, had his best year, worth taking a risk. I agree with Ross. The Boss BJ, you're a Wizards fan. Bobo, what you doing? You kicking the tires, taking them or what?
Nah, I mean, don't get me wrong, the kid got potential, but the Wizards got a whole host of other problems they're going to have to figure out. And I think Bobo, his agent, are going to have to find somewhere that's best for him where he can finish developing because he still hasn't reached his ceiling. He has talent. Like I said, Ben said the injuries are an issue with him. And you got to find the right coaching situation and the right environment for him where he can contribute. I think that, he could have another year where he steps up on the plateau a little bit more and builds off of what he had. But for the Wizards right now, it would look good, but I would pass. And it would be it's not a pass where this guy's a troublemaker, this, that, and the other. Like the Midnight Rider said, the roster's kind of already full. There's no room for him. That could change, but I think he needs to go to a winning environment, somewhere where they could be patient with him, work him in the lineup where he doesn't have to do too much, and that he can learn from some vets and kind of get his, polish his game a little bit.
I agree with that. Mute button.
You know where I would like for him to go? We were just talking about, and just because I'm thinking about rosters and the way they're shaped, he would be a perfect fit. I know you said veteran laden, but he'd be a perfect fit in Portland because Portland's they've got a bunch of young, athletic, in-your-face kind of guys. Whatever they get back from Dame, because I think Dame is gone, and then they just build off of that. They take Sharp and they take Scoot, and then you add Bobo and some of the other athletic young guys they have, and just go up and down the court on a nightly basis and see who can keep up with you.
Speaking of Portland, Dame, everybody's been talking about it. Dame is requested for a trade. A lot of Portland fans are like, hey, I respect his loyalty, but they won't put nothing around him. Hey, happy trails. Wherever he lands, I'm still going to be a fan. Nobody's mad. Nobody's burning jerseys. But Portland pulled a real dick move because he said he only wanted to go to Miami. Word on the street is Golden State never traded for Chris Paul. He wanted to go to Golden State. But they traded for Chris Paul, so he's like, no room for me there. Let's go to Miami. Portland pulls a dick move by saying, yeah, he want to go to Miami, but we're going to take the best deal for us. And he's not going to Miami. We're not sending him to Miami. Now, I get the best deal for the team. But why Why kick the brother in his ass on the way out the door? Like he hasn't given you a career worth of time and loyalty. And it seems like no matter who's in charge in Portland, no matter who the owner is, they do that to their stars. They did it to Clyde. Now you're doing it again to Dame. Why?
So you're making the argument of why take less in a deal just to make the player happy. But weren't you the same guy a couple weeks ago when Bill got moved, complaining because they didn't get enough for him?
Like no. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying take less. I'm saying to come out and they came out and flat out said, we're not sending him to Miami.
I thought
this is before. Go ahead.
No, I thought Miami gave them options and they didn't like the Miami option. So that's the reason that hasn't happened yet.
The thing is, and let me say this real quick. As far as the Dame Lillard thing, I have to give a shout out to my wife because I was laying down taking a nap and she woke me up. She said, baby, Dame Lillard asked for a trade. He could go to Miami, and she figured out all the numbers. She had, she said if they trade Hero and probably Duncan Robinson and some cash considerations and some picks, they can make that work. That's what my wife told me. My wife figured out this trade the first day.
Bill, I don't think they're that high on, from what I'm hearing, is they're not that big on Tyler Hero.
Well,
and they really want something else. That's why.
And nobody should be. I don't understand the lure around Tyler Hero. Like he's gonna come in and give you 27 a game. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the kicker, and the point is that I think they would love to move him to Miami because that's where he wants to be, but there's just nothing. I mean, they just lost They lost Vincent, they lost Strus. There's really not much left, and they don't have the picks. So what are you actually getting? You can't get him to Miami without there being a third team involved, and that third team is going to have be willing to trade pieces to get back something for nothing.
And this is going to be when the Bradley Beal, when that rumor mill and that train start going, we said there's going to have to be multiple transactions involved, whether it's with the Wizards are involved or not. And this is going to have to be the same piece. Now, I don't know if Portland said that or not, because we see a lot of things on the internet that are pushed and made to look like teams said it, and they didn't say that. But here's the thing, and if Portland did say, here's the problem with that: you're going to kill all the Dame Lillards after this that want to be loyal. They're going to remember this, just like for some reason these kids think Paul George was ripping and running and winning championships 5 years ago. You're going to kill these kids' loyalty, the ones that do have it still left and want to stay at a team. You're going to kill that if they did say that. The other thing is, if Dame said he want to go to Miami, Dame's going to Miami. There is no other. Portland's it now is on Portland to figure it out, because any other team. Now I do believe this report that Dame's agent said, "Hey, everybody else calling, you might as well give up now. It's no point." And I don't blame them. Why would I go to another Portland? You're not going to. If Dame goes to New York, they're not winning a title in New York. If Dame goes to the Clippers, they're not getting out of the West. Your best chance is Miami, to add to what Miami got. Because let's be honest. If you add Dame Lillard and you do lose Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson, you're gaining. You're gaining with bringing Dame Lillard. You're not losing anything by getting those two players out of here. So that's my opinion on that. But yeah, when Dame wants to go, if Dame says Miami, stamping in Miami, Portland, y'all need to sit down in the office and figure out how that's going to happen.
Here's a good one for you, B, because you said something and I had to clap and agree with it. You said something about Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero ain't been that guy. He hasn't been him since the bubble. You know, Duncan Robinson hasn't been him since the bubble. They've been contributors, but they haven't had that run that they had in the bubble. And I get that, you know, you don't want that as the compensation. However, Portland, what does Portland have to offer? I'm sorry, what does Miami have to offer that Portland will want? I believe it's draft picks. If it's gonna be draft picks, then you're on mute, Midnight Rider.
No, I was trying to tell you go back because you're still having a little bit of a sound thing. So you were making your point, but you kind of came off sounding like R2D2.
People. Where did it go out at?
Just kind of just finish the last like little bit of what you said.
Well, I was saying Portland doesn't have Portland. If Portland can get draft picks back, get the draft picks back. Start over because obviously what you're doing is not working. And then BJ said something about these youngins thinking Paul George was running things. Paul George was running nothing. He was running his mouth. But I don't understand that either. But if you notice, youngins are taking, and I mean youngins in the league, and I mean youngins coming to the league, they're taking notice of what these teams are doing. And I sent both of you guys a Instagram clip about loyalty in the NBA and what the Celtics did to Isaiah Thomas. Like, loyalty is gone. You're not going to find any more loyal players. There will be no more Tim Duncans. Everybody's going to chase the bag. There will be no more David Robinsons. Everybody's going to chase the bag now.
But do you blame them?
Hell no, I don't blame them. Hell no.
You can't blame them. Like I said, if somebody walked up to us right now and says, "Here's $250 million for y'all podcast," who on this panel of three is going to say no? We're going to be planning our trip to the Dominican Republic with matching flower shorts, holding hands, and skipping to the terminal at American Airlines.
If they give me $250 million, I ain't going to the DR. I'm going to Maldives. I'm going to sit out and we're going to be having an oceanfront view of the floor and stuff. Nah, we ain't going to DR.
Y'all already got it messed up.
Wherever the Midnight Rider want to go, I'm not even get $250 million. Look, I'm not arguing about it.
You already got it messed up. Plane ticket. You already got it messed up. We going to the Ivory Coast immediately. We are going to Africa. We are going to the Ivory Coast and we are going to chill. Build a couple houses and chill.
And just so the record's known, we don't care if it's Saudi Arabian money. We don't care if it's Equatorian. We don't care about who it comes from.
Wait, that Saudi Arabian money, that's what Perry called blood money. You don't want none of that blood money, boy.
Hey, we'll take the blood money. We'll take the Crip money.
Send it. Certified cashier check. Just send it.
Exactly. We'll take only money we won't take is that Brian Davis money. We ain't taking that.
I agree with that. That I do agree with. Yeah. But fellas, do you think this will be resolved anytime this week? Or is this going to languish on through the summer? And then Dame gets traded and it's like a week before training camp, or it's during training camp or something like that.
Well, I know a guy that normally sits in the middle of you two guys that was on this podcast before that said that the Wizards had to move Bill before Lillard got moved, so that way they wouldn't be handcuffed. And I think by Bill getting moved, it ended up handcuffing Portland because Portland didn't take advantage of the window, that same window that the Wizards had. That window between then and the CBA coming into effect was the window that they had to have urgency to make the Lillard trade. And because they didn't operate with any kind of urgency or just say, hey, let's get rid of him, I think now this is at a point where it starts to linger, and it's going to linger because you're just going to have a problem finding the pieces to make it match and work. I think Portland's going to get cheated no matter what now. At the end of this trade, we're going to come away saying Portland lost. And that's not the good thing for them.
And the thing is, Portland's going to lose regardless. When a player tells you they want out, you're not, especially a player of Dame's caliber. You're not prepared for that. There's no return you can get back. There's no star that wants to go to Portland because you might have the opposite. You might have a deal in place where somebody, let's just say a level down from Dame, they agree to the trade, but they agent tell them I'm not going to Portland. So that wipes out the deal. So now you have to do what the Wizards did, which makes the Wizards look like geniuses now because somebody in the middle, that's sitting in the middle now, said that. You have to take these multiple seconds in this because you don't have any leverage because they know Dame's not suiting up in a Portland jersey next year. They know where he wants to go. So now when you call, if they were smarter about it and Portland and Dame sat down, I would have tried to keep everything under wraps. I would have told Dame, if I'm Portland management, hey, just keep saying that if you hear next year you're going to play, we're going to be working on the trade. Okay, you want to go to Miami, cool. But now that these teams know that Portland's basically up against the wall with the soap in their hand and the hands are wet, it's coming out their hands any second, they don't have any leverage. So whatever Miami sends, whatever other team gets in the way, I'm sure another team wants Tyler Hero. I'm sure another team can use Duncan Robinson. So this is going to be that after that wave of that Bradley Beal trade where this team signs this player, this team trades here, and these pieces start falling like dominoes. That's what this is going to be.
But
James,
now,
it is what it is.
Dame said it didn't matter if he didn't get traded to Miami. If they traded him somewhere else, like let's say they traded him to Boston. He said he's not showing up to training camp. He's not reporting. He immediately said that. So he said that once they came out and said, well, we're not sending him to Miami, he said, I'm not reporting anywhere you send me. So he's thrown down the gauntlet. He's pretty much said that I'm not showing up. I'm not coming anywhere if you send me anywhere I don't want to go, I'm not going to show up.
And he has every right to because he's been loyal to their team. They put nothing around him to get out of the bottom six. He's played his ass off. He's thrown 60 up for no reason. He sent teams home. And if they had just bought another piece in, drafted better, guess what? We're talking about maybe Portland at least making the NBA Finals. They couldn't even do it in the bubble. They were a dangerous team.
Right.
But I don't blame them. I played my ass off for you. I put this team back on the map. This when they say Portland Trailblazers, my name comes up, not anybody else's name. So you have to walk with that type of arrogance too. You got a Boston trade? That is so cute. Make sure y'all get a leprechaun milkshake. I'm staying here until y'all give me what I want.
A leprechaun milkshake. Well, as always, we're going to keep an eye on that. I got a question for the Midnight Rider and the Boss BJ. Maybe a little bit tougher for the Boss BJ, but he made me chuckle last night.
Say that again. I missed that.
I got a question for you guys. The Boss BJ made me chuckle last night. They were talking about
this,
the greatest commander, and I was like, okay, you said the greatest commander in this century. Well, we've only been commanders for 2 years, so that's scary Terry. But I expanded the question. Greatest Redskin / Commander player since 2000. And I was looking at the list that they had up of their finalists. Oh boy, we really screwed the pooch on that one. Let's just say that. So I'm gonna start with the Boss BJ. Greatest Redskin commander since 2000.
Let me tell you this, and I'm speaking as a lifelong Buffalo Bill fan. And my way of thinking, y'all know, is I don't know what to call myself as a sportsman. My way of thinking, we're gonna have to make up something. To me, this is cute. This keeps the summer train going. You're talking about sports, but I don't care who the greatest Redskin is of the 2000s because there are no championships from 2000 to this point. So I don't get me wrong. There have been some great players come through here, but I could care less. Just like if somebody says who's the best Buffalo Bill since 2000, I don't care because what I want to see in my trophy case, I told you what I want to do. I want the Bills to win a Super Bowl. I want to order 4 Sports Illustrated Super Bowl orders of hats and that whole Super Bowl kit until something. I don't care. We're just playing for fun at this point. Don't get me wrong. You got some great players come through here, but this notion that you have to put this list together and these players didn't bust a grape here as far as playoffs and championships and being relevant other than just having highlights. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Redskins fans, y'all have fun with this. I know it's summer. I know it's downtime. You want to put together the greatest Redskins /Commander / Washington football team player since 2000, the greatest water boy, the greatest seat in FedEx Field. Have fun with your summer doing this. I ain't doing it. Because to me, unless you're talking about the New England Patriots, who won the Super Bowl, the Kansas City Chiefs, they can make that list. They got rings to show for it. You don't have no rings to show for. That's like saying who's the greatest wizard since 1990. I don't care. No, nobody's won a championship. Now, we can talk about, don't get me wrong. You can talk about some great wizards that came through here. Nobody's won a championship. Nobody's made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So what are we talking about? When is the last time the Commanders / Redskins / Washington football team made it to the NFC Championship? Give me your top 5 NFC. Let's do that. Give me your top 5 NFC Championship game highlights since 2000. Give me that. We'll shut that up now. Give me that. Unless you've been touched that, I don't care.
Hey, KG, hit the comments. Because there's an answer there. There we go. I think that's one. And it's not because of longevity, it's because of impact. I think 2 is Kerrigan. After that, I mean, in the beginning, I really didn't have a desire to answer this question, but since it's on the show, I think it's Taylor, Kerrigan, maybe Cousins. And that's the sad part about it. It's like even with those 3, with the time that they had, like it goes back to what BJ said. Like you haven't been relevant. You haven't done anything since 2000, and you haven't won anything. So your best player since 2000 is like asking, what's the greatest disease to ever to impact the earth in the last 20 years? Like, what are we doing? Like, what's the greatest catastrophe in the last 20 years that you've ever seen, or last 23 years? It's probably the Washington Commanders football team.
Well, I had Trent Williams, Ross says London Fletcher, maybe Sean Taylor. I had Trent Williams, so I answered the question. But that's because I was bored. But I answered the question because I think about it like this. Yeah, it's fodder for the summer. Because you always want they did the 90 greatest Redskins, and it was guys that was on that they added to the last. When they did the 70 greatest, they got that right. 80 was shaky. When they did 90, I was like, yeah, y'all reaching right now. But we're talking about the greatest Redskin commander since 2000. What the boss BJ said is absolutely right. We have not won anything since 1991 season. January 92 was the last time we won anything of significance. We only have 2 playoff wins in the last 30 years. We should not be talking about greatest players in the last 23 years and we've done nothing. But I wanted to throw this at you guys because I'm like, yeah, this is kind of it's fodder, but it's funny to me. And I just wanted to hear what you had to say.
And I don't get me wrong. You Sean Taylor, those are great choices. Like I said, Kirk Cousins you can say what you want about Kirk Cousins. He put up numbers here, right? And letting him go set this franchise back a long way. But it's just like when you put greatest and you put legendary in that sentence, I need to see results. I need to see Pittsburgh-esque type results where you're relevant every year. You have a chance every year to get and not the Pittsburgh the last couple of years, but Pittsburgh for a 10-year stretch. You knew they could strike and make a run to the Super Bowl. That hasn't been the case for 20 years for this team. I'm sorry, guys.
No, you good. You good.
And Ross say Trent's a good pick. I agree with that. Not just because it's my pick, but it's a silverback. He's still arguably the best left tackle in the game right now. And he was that before he left DC. So
it's interesting that you say Kirk Cousins and Trent Williams in the last two statements, because those are probably the two worst trades ever made, or two worst decisions ever made, because they didn't get anything for either one of those guys near the value that they should have gotten.
Agreed. And a lot of people think and have thought, because that was around the time we just started doing this show, when Kirk Cousins got let go. You know, they just didn't resign him. But I kept saying, I said, it's kind of crazy. He thinks he deserves $20 million a year. I said, I think he's more in the 15, 16 range. But if you incentivize him, and you know stuff that he's going to hit anyway, you give him 15, 16, and you incentivize him so it can be worth 20, 25 a year. Because the dude was throwing 4K a year. All you had to do is put receivers around, and it's a different ball game.
You're making that's the bad argument right there.
But let me finish. Let me finish.
I can't let you finish, because you're offering him 16, and I think the franchise tag was 17. So you can't offer me less than what I'm guaranteed to make. Like, that was the biggest thing that I argue with fans about. It's like you can't change the dynamics of the contract when, if I'm guaranteed 17 million, what motivation do I have to take 16? Where's my motivation?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what your motivation is.
It's crazy. A franchise that has overpaid over-the-hill players routinely wouldn't pay a performing quarterback. That's another show for another day. It's just mind-boggling, because, you know, if you trot him out right now with the offense and the defense you have, talking about winning, possibly winning the division, and you can make all the Kirk Cousins jokes you want, but he's gonna put up numbers with those three receivers and the running back and the running backs they have and the defense they have. It's a whole different team. But that's another show. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna go back to mute.
And I agree with Ross. He says Trent should still be here. Yeah, I lobby for that, but that bridge was burnt.
It's the product of a poorly run franchise. This is where we are. Yes, and absolutely. July 20th cannot come fast enough for me. It cannot happen soon enough. If they want, I will go collect the votes. They can do paper votes, and I'll drive to every NFL city and pick up the votes and bring them back for you. I don't care. I just need this thing done sooner than later. Did I lose both of you guys?
No, I'm here. Okay. This last segment is for the Midnight Rider.
There we go, baby.
MLB, take it away.
I mean, we got the All-Star weekend. It's a couple big things happening, and then I think last night we saw one of the premier baseball players taking this game into a whole nother stratosphere. And the kid I'm talking about is Elly De La Cruz. Last night, on just 2 pitches, he stole 3 bases. He stole second on the first pitch, stole third on the very next pitch, and as the catcher was throwing the ball back to the pitcher, he noticed they weren't paying attention and stole home. Probably it's definitely the play of the season. To me, there's nothing better than that. But that's where we are right now in MLB. We've got some kids coming up. You got him. You've got Yuri Perez, a pitcher down in Miami. You have Gunnar Henderson in Baltimore. The future is now, and that's one of the things that baseball is getting. But they still got to start promoting these kids a little bit more, so that these kids, the kids that are growing up, can connect to these players. So we have baseball and kids wanting to play baseball and connect with baseball going forward. And then the second thing that's big about this weekend is the Washington Nationals get to figure out probably the next, I guess, in 7 hours or 8 hours, we'll know who the number 2 pick is in the MLB draft, because they're picking between Skeens, the pitcher from LSU, and Dylan Cruz, the center fielder from LSU. And if they want to throw a wrench into it, they'll take the kid from not Miami, from Florida, but he's not in the conversation. It's the 2 LSU kids, and it's basically down to what does Pittsburgh do at 1. And whatever Pittsburgh does at 1 pretty much dictates what Washington's going to do at 2. I can't wait. I'm excited. I hope they get the pitcher. So sometime next year, we're watching Skeens. You got Mackenzie Gore, and then you got the growth of the Josiah Gray. Then you maybe have Jake Irvin and Cade Cavalli, and this team could be in the same position that Baltimore is in right now, where they're exceeding expectations and possibly contending for a division, not just a wild card. I think that's all I had on MLB.
And Ross says MLB draft, this pick will help form the Nats rebuild. And that's what you've been saying. And I think y'all are on the same page. Now, here's my question for you. And Eric Wheeler just chimed in. He said, build with the pitching staff.
It is.
Yeah. I got a question about the All-Star game. Okay. Now, this is the Midsummer Classic. This used to be like dominated 3 nights on Fox. You had the home run derby, all the pageantry and everything. Like, I mean, at one point in time, you used to have all the old timers game on Fox, during the day. Has this All-Star game, as well as every other All-Star game, pretty much lost its luster? Or is it starting to come back and everybody getting hyped up for it again?
Great question. Has it lost its luster? I think it's lost its luster in this regard because baseball isn't the essential sport of the country anymore. So I think before it was more the pageantry was there because baseball was probably not king, but in the minds of people, it was pretty high priority. And I think baseball has failed the last 20 years, actually I would say the last 30 years, to kind of keep itself on the pedestal that they put themselves on all the time. So they just messed this up the last 30 years with the failure to grow the game in the right direction, to connect with fans and give their fans access to the sport. Like it's crazy how little we get. And I think baseball, honestly, I said this, I don't know if I said it in the chat or not, but I said I think MLB Central with Mark DeRosa, Flores, and I don't even want to try to say her name, is the best sports program on TV. They give you the most information, the best information. You can keep your Good Morning Football, you can keep whatever. I think MLB Central is the best show on TV. And I think the problem is what?
Ain't nothing better than the NFL Fox pregame show.
Trash. I don't even watch it. Trash.
I love watching it.
Are we forgetting about the TNT broadcast for the NBA?
Boy, oh shit! That's too.
That's pregame. Still, MLB Central. I get that too. I'm speaking from a bias because I'm a baseball guy. So that's MLB Central's my one. And I'm going to say, and it's the reason because I don't get the show because it comes on at 10 a.m. But I literally sat here 2 nights ago and just like went through all the little clips they have. And I didn't move for like 30 minutes. So all the breakdowns they were doing were on point. So that's just me nerding out as a baseball guy. So I think TNT.
Nah. That you didn't move for 30 minutes because you had some food from the Lost Dog Cafe sitting in front of you, a nice craft beer, and you had the itis. Stop it.
Nah, dog.
I was
This
about to
time
say
you
he was
left
sleeping.
alone.
He was asleep for 17 minutes of it.
Oh. I'm sorry, man. You want to check comments, see what we got?
Imagine the future front three of the rotation: Gore, Skeen, and Gray. It's a possibility. It's a possibility. But now I've noticed something, and we didn't talk about this. We're gonna have to get to this on Tuesday to really get into it. But have you fellas noticed that the Nats, although initially hot about maybe a month ago, they've cooled off considerably? Have you noticed that?
Well, there's a scary stat. There's two scary stats that came out this week. Because I've paid attention to them, but sometimes somebody has to say something for you to notice it. So one of the stats is the Nats are one game under 500 on the road, and they're just god awful at home. So that's the one thing I noticed this week. And then the other thing, they were talking about the production that teams have gotten from their draft picks, their positional draft picks. And like Washington is dead last by a lot, a whole lot. And this is probably like the last 5 years or so of them drafting, that their prospects just haven't come up. And part of the problem is Washington doesn't invest in, how do I want to say it, in its player development as much as other teams. So that's part of their problem. And I'm going to sound like a broken record because that's really the problem for all the local teams. Whether you're talking about the Commanders, whether you're talking about the Nationals, whether you're talking about the Wizards, even to the Caps to a certain extent, there's a difference in the amount of money or amount invested in player development and the little things that the players need. And I think that's part of this rebuild is going to become part of the change. And Eric just put two of the big names in the thing. Two of the biggest failures have been Carter Keyboom, who they drafted in, I want to say 2015, 2016. And then Robles is another kid that he was the Juan Soto before Soto. And the only reason we got Soto is because Robles diving for a ball in center field dislocated his elbow. He's never been the same since then. So I think that's part of their problem is they just haven't been able to bring up guys to filter their system to keep them afloat or keep them contending. We shouldn't be in this gap if we had drafted better, or I should say if they didn't develop better.
All right. Well, see, this is why we do this. We do this because different perspectives, and some of us like to hold on to players a little too long. But when you talk MLB careers, and it's all about developing the talent. And if you draft correctly, you get guys out of you have a strong farm system. Every level strong, where you're bringing up guys to the farm system, and people are like, damn, who is this guy? And he has a breakout season, but that breakout season continues over and over and over again. It's like a conveyor belt. It's like a factory. That's what makes baseball so great. And, I think that's the blueprint of the great franchises, the Yankees. So, yeah. I mean, the amount of talent that we had come up through the farm system, and greatest shortstop of all time. It's just great stuff, man. Great stuff.
Right, and then we come to the future, outside of Aaron Judge, your shortstop, Cope, who I thought was going to be the guy, he's hitting like 200. You don't have anybody that you're bringing up anymore, and that's where like Baltimore is killing the game, and where Baltimore becomes dangerous. Because Baltimore still has 3 or 4 other guys that they could bring up right now and make an impact. They just brought up who was it? Kauser. They just brought him up. They've got Westenberg. I'm getting too far in the weeds for people, but just know that Baltimore's bringing up a bunch of talent, and these guys are producing, and they're going to be around, and they have enough talent in Baltimore that they've produced and drafted that they can go out and get help at the trade deadline to make this team a contender because they need pitching. So that's the last good thing I'm going to say about the Baltimore Orioles, because somebody might be watching and going to see me say good things about this team.
I'm gonna say this before we fully wrap it up. We're gonna have an intervention for you because every time I say something good about the Yankees, you always have to bring up something negative. So we're gonna have an intervention at some point in time because this has to be some kind of illness. You're killing me, Smalls. You're really killing me.
Why are we talking about the New York Yankees? What are they, third, fourth? Where are they at? Are they? They're not top 2 in the AL. Where are they?
We'll make our surge after the All-Star break.
I think they're third or fourth. And this is exactly what we're talking about right here. Go ahead, I'm sorry. Say it again, BJ.
No. I just want a clarification. I always want clarification of where the Yankees are in the standings.
Yeah, don't. Okay. Eric Willis says the Braves show you how to draft and develop talent and keep them. I agree with that.
That last statement was big. That's a dig at the Nats. Because the Nats haven't kept their guys lately. You had to lose Soto. You lost Rendon.
Michael Morse. We can go back in time. We can talk about
Michael Morse. He wasn't drafted and developed here.
He wasn't? I thought he was.
Nah, Morris.
We're gonna have to make it.
But I'm sorry.
To make a segment of this show that said players relevant to KG.
Wow, that's how you feel about me, bro.
I mean, you're talking to the man that take Derek. You talking to the man that take Derek Dockery over Gene Upshaw.
Wow. Yeah, that's you. That's you. But wow. I think that would be a good segment because I got a lot of players that are relevant to me that most people be like, who? I mean, we talk about 2 guards in the 90s in the NBA. Brian Stiff was probably top 5. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are done because I need to go take my loopy maids after that.
Hey, KG, this is going to be an inside joke. I don't know if I sent that clip to the Midnight Rider, but the start of that segment has to say, "Okay, it looks like KG's going on the old bunny trail."
Oh, man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our show. And this is the Sunday Rise. That's the Midnight Rider, the boss BJ. I'm the big guy KG. We got one more comment. They made the right choice on Rendon. He's been hurt every season since he left.
Facts.
So, I hate to say it, but it's right. But we got to get out of here. Hope everybody enjoys their Sunday. Check back somewhere along Facebook, and we'll be, the Midnight Rider will fill you in on the draft. But until next time, we are the Sideline Junkies. We don't do no overtime, y'all. We are out of here.